Picture this. You're scrolling through a dating app late at night, heart racing as a charming stranger's messages light up your screen with compliments, shared dreams, and promises of a future together, until they hit you with a sob story about a once-in-a-lifetime investment opportunity. And before you know it, your life savings vanish into thin air, funneled straight into a luxury London penthouse you'll never see. This isn't a Hollywood thriller. It's the cold, calculated reality of a £130 million romance scam empire that crumbled in October 2025, when UK authorities seized 19 opulent properties in the heart of the city, exposing a web of deceit that preyed on loneliness and left victims shattered across the globe. The story of this audacious fraud begins not in the glitzy streets of London, but in the humid, shadowy compounds of Southeast Asia, where the seeds of betrayal were sown amid economic desperation and geopolitical blind spots. It was around 2018 when Chen Zhi, a British Cambodian businessman and chairman of the Prince Holding Group, allegedly pivoted from legitimate ventures in real estate and banking in Cambodia to something far darker, building an underground network of scam operations disguised as job opportunities. Chen, born in China and naturalized in Cambodia, had already amassed a fortune through his Prince Group, which boasted flashy developments and ties to the Cambodian elite. But whispers of illicit dealings surfaced as early as 2020, when reports emerged of disused casinos in Sihanoukville being repurposed into fortified scam farms. These weren't your garden-variety boiler rooms. They were industrial-scale prisons where traffickers lured young people, often from China, India, and even Europe, with fake ads for high-paying tech or hospitality gigs, only to strip them of passports, phones, and freedom upon arrival. By 2022, as the COVID-19 pandemic isolated the world and online dating surged, Chen's operation exploded, capitalizing on the boom in virtual connections. Victims of the trafficking were coerced at gunpoint or under threat of torture to man keyboards and screens, churning out thousands of fake profiles daily on platforms like Tinder, Bumble, and Facebook dating, their scripts honed to exploit the universal ache of solitude. What made this scam so insidious and so lucrative was its evolution from crude catfishing to a sophisticated multi-layered con that blended emotional manipulation with high-tech financial traps, turning fleeting online flirtations into multi-million-dollar heists. It all started with the hook. Scammers, often forced laborers in their teens or 20s, would create hyper-personalized profiles using stolen photos of attractive models or AI-generated faces, tailored to target demographics: widows in their 60s seeking companionship, divorced professionals in their 40s craving adventure, or lonely expats abroad. These bots and humans alike would initiate contact with scripted charm. "I saw your smile and knew you were special," followed by days or weeks of building trust through shared vulnerabilities, like tales of lost loved ones or ambitious dreams deferred. The pivot to profit came subtly, around the 2 to 4 week mark, when the lover would weave in a crisis, a sudden business deal gone wrong, a family emergency abroad, or, most devastatingly, an exclusive crypto investment opportunity promising 200% returns to fund their reunion. Victims, their guards down from the emotional high, would wire small amounts first, £500 for fees, £2,000 for setup, escalating to tens of thousands as the scammer mirrored their excitement with deepfake video calls or voice-cloned messages that felt achingly real. By 2025, with global romance scam losses topping £848 million according to the FBI's Internet Crime Complaint Center, Chen's ring alone was estimated to have netted over £10 billion, much of it in Bitcoin and Ethereum, laundered through a labyrinth of shell companies and offshore exchanges to evade detection. The machinery of the scam worked like a well-oiled assembly line of heartbreak, with Chen at the apex pulling strings from his Phnom Penh offices, while mid-level operatives in Myanmar's border regions oversaw the compounds. Trafficked workers, numbering in the thousands, were divided into teams. One for profile creation using data scraped from breached dating sites, another for conversation scripting with AI tools like customized chatbots trained on romance novels and victim psychology studies, and a third for financial extraction, guiding marks to fraudulent apps or wallets that promised secure investments but were rigged to siphon funds irreversibly. Once the money flowed, often from Western bank accounts in the UK, US, and Australia, it hit a global laundering pipeline. First converted to cryptocurrency via anonymous mixers, then funneled through legitimate-looking Cambodian banks tied to Prince Group subsidiaries, and finally parked in high-value assets far from prying eyes. London became the crown jewel of this empire, chosen for its status as a global money laundering hub with lax oversight on foreign buyers and booming property market. Starting in 2021, as scam proceeds swelled, Chen and his associate Chu Wei-ren allegedly snapped up 19 prime properties, a £100 million office block in Mayfair, sprawling mansions in Kensington and Belgravia, even upscale flats overlooking the Thames, totaling over £130 million, all purchased through layered trusts and nominees to mask ownership. These weren't just investments, they were fortresses of fraud, with basements rumored to house servers for scam operations and luxury amenities funded by the very victims whose tears paid for the marble floors. As the scam's scale ballooned, peaking in 2024 with daily hauls exceeding £1 million, the cracks began to show, triggered by a confluence of whistleblowers, blockchain sleuths, and international pressure. It started small. In late 2023, a trafficked worker from India escaped a Myanmar compound and tipped off Interpol, detailing the forced labor and providing ledgers of victim payouts. This snowballed into a joint US-UK task force by early 2025, with the FBI's cyber division tracing 127,000 Bitcoin wallets back to Chen's network using advanced forensics from firms like Chainalysis, revealing a trail of £11.3 billion in seized crypto, the largest Bitcoin forfeiture in DOJ history. UK investigators, coordinated by the National Crime Agency and City of London Police, zeroed in on the property portfolio through companies' house filings and suspicious activity reports from banks like HSBC, which flagged irregular transfers from Southeast Asian accounts. The hammer fell on October 14, 2025, when the UK Foreign Office slapped sanctions on Chen, Chu, and 14 linked entities, freezing the £130 million in London assets under the global sanctions regime and the Economic Crime Act. Raids followed. SFO teams descended on the Mayfair block, seizing documents and hard drives, while U.S. indictments charged Chen with wire fraud and money laundering conspiracies, painting him as the mastermind of one of the largest investment fraud operations in history. Chen, still at large in Cambodia with political cover from local ties, issued a defiant statement through proxies, but the freeze has left his empire in limbo, with properties now under government receivership and auctions pending to repay victims. The human wreckage of this operation is as staggering as its financial footprint, a testament to how romance scams don't just steal money, they shatter souls and upend lives in ways that echo the emotional devastation of historical betrayals like Madoff's Ponzi victims. The UK's action fraud logged over 8,000 romance scam reports in 2024 alone, with underreporting masking a true toll of emotional trauma rivaling physical abuse as victims grapple with shame, self-doubt, and the lingering fear that love might forever feel like a trap. On the trafficking side, escapees like the Indian whistleblower describe hellish conditions: 16-hour shifts in airless rooms, beatings for low quotas, and suicides among those who couldn't bear the guilt of deceiving innocents. Chen Zhi, part of a regional scam industry employing 100,000 plus coerced workers across Cambodia and Myanmar, has been linked to at least 50 deaths in compounds, turning fraud into a humanitarian crisis that drew UN condemnation in 2025. This scandal's takedown marks a pivotal moment in the global fight against cyber fraud, blending old-school human exploitation with cutting-edge digital deception in a way that demands smarter safeguards from governments and tech giants alike. The US-UK collaboration, bolstered by tools like the DateSafe Initiative, a multi-agency group led by City of London Police, has already disrupted similar networks, recovering £50 million in assets this year and pushing platforms like Meta and Match Group to roll out AI detection for suspicious profiles. Yet, as Fraud Minister Lord Hanson warned in the wake of the freeze, fraudsters prey on the most vulnerable by stealing life savings, ruining trust, and devastating lives, underscoring the need for public vigilance. Always verify identities via reverse image searches or video calls with real-time questions. Never send money to online acquaintances, and report suspicions immediately to security department.